Real estate investing is in no way, shape, or form easy, and I know that may not be the case because of social media nowadays, but investing takes tons of capital, and that could take you years and years in order to save up to finally purchase your first rental property. But with this strategy that I'll be talking about today will help you with exploding your real estate portfolio so you can get to your financial goals faster. In this video, I'll be going over the BRRRR strategy, some tips and tricks, the pros and cons of the BRRRR strategy, and how to explode your rental portfolio by utilizing the BRRRR strategy no matter your experience level. So make sure to stick around to the end. What's up everybody? If you are new, my name is Evan Phoenix and this channel is all about real estate investing and my journey to financial independence through real estate investing. So if that's something that you're interested in, consider giving this video a thumbs up. It would honestly help my channel out a ton. So first, let's break down the BRRRR strategy, which stands for buy, renovate, rent out, refinance, and repeat. Starting with the B, which is buy. The first step is to identify and buy an undervalued property to where you can force appreciation and increase the rent. By forcing appreciation through renovation and increasing the income on the property, that will eventually raise the value of this said property. And since you bought this property under market price, that means that you already have an equity spread before you even force more appreciation into that property. Now, the best way to find these properties is to find them off market direct to seller. Now, I never said that was easy, but that is the best way to find them. Also, a great way is to start making offers on properties that have been on the market for over 90 days. That means they're sitting because either they're priced too high or they have too many things wrong with it. In that case, you may find a desperate seller to where you can negotiate and get that price down. The real goal in this step of buying is to find a property at a discounted rate. Moving on to the next step in the first of many R's, which is rehab. Now, after purchasing the property, it's time to bring it up to market standards through renovation. This may involve something as little as just painting the walls or fixing a light fixture or two. A lot of people have this misconception that you have to tear down all the walls and you have to do all types of crazy renovations that cost so much in order to bring value into the property, when that's really not the case. A great tip is to contact a successful real estate agent in your area so that they can tell you what the market standards are and what you have to do to the property. Just remember, less is more. And I cannot stress enough that while you're in the buying process and you're in your due diligence stage, you need to get contractors out to the property to give you bids on what the renovation costs will be so that you can stick to a budget. Get multiple contractors out there so that you have a range of what it may cost and account for some surprises that may come up. And along with your contractor, have a property inspector come out and inspect the property. They will be able to give you a good idea of what's wrong with the property so that you can hand that straight to your contractor and they can give you a bid on what that would cost. Now we're moving on to the next step, which is rent. Now this is pretty simple. After completing the necessary renovations on the property, after you consult your real estate agent to bring it up to market standard, that's when you go and start advertising the property to rent it out. Once again, this should be done in your due diligence stage of having a real estate agent or a property management company in the area telling you local comps on rentals in the area that match the property that you have just purchased. Just remember, it's never a bad idea to get multiple suggestions on what your price should be as far as renting out your property when you're all said and done. And while you're in this step of the process, you want to make sure you're doing your due diligence with the tenants and screening them properly to make sure you're checking out their background, make sure you're calling references and where they lived before, verify their income, verify their credit score, and make sure you're moving in a person that's going to respect your property because the process is not done and you have many more steps to go after getting the tenant into the building. Moving on to the third R, which is refinance. Once you have purchased the property, you have renovated it to market standards, and you put a tenant in there and they are paying rent on the property, now it's time to go to a bank, tell them all the improvements you made to the property, tell them you bought it under market, and tell them what you're receiving in income on this property so they can do a cash out refinance. The whole purpose of the refinancing step is to pull out the money that you put into the property so that you can go use that again. So by doing everything you did to the property, it raises the value enough to be able to pull out a cash out refinance from the bank and pay you back your money. For example, let's say you purchased a property for $50,000 and you put $50,000 into it. That means you're all in at $100,000. You go to the bank, you tell them what you did to the property. They have someone come out and tell you now it's worth $125,000. If the bank allows you to take out a 80% loan to value cash out refinance, that means you get $100,000 back so that you can pay off the mortgage that you have on it if you had one, and the renovation costs back in your pocket. This basically allows you to recoup your initial investment. And moving on to the last step, which is repeat. The final step of the BRRRR strategy is to repeat the process by taking out your initial investment, go and redo all the steps again, and purchase another property. If done correctly, you can do about 1 or 2 a year, and you can exponentially grow your rental portfolio, your cash flow, and your equity. Now, I think it's very important to note that if you do not recoup all of your initial investment you put into the property and get that back into your pockets, that does not mean you failed at the BRRRR strategy. A lot of times, most of the times, people actually end up leaving money into the deal, whether that's $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. The whole point of the BRRRR strategy is to purchase properties, take that step forward in real estate investing, and pull out as much money as you can from the property so that it takes less time to save up to purchase your next property. Now, my rule with the BRRRR strategy is to implement the 70% rule, which basically means I'm all in at 70% or less of its total value. Now, that means by funding the property, doing the renovations on the property, if I have interest payment, whatever holding costs are, all the expenses I have for the total project until I do the refinance has to be 70%. So if all that equals $70,000, the property must be $100,000. And before deciding if you're going to use the BRRRR strategy, I think it's important to note what the pros and cons of this strategy are. So let's go over the pros real quick. The first pro is the equity and the cash flow, the perks of the BRRRR strategy. The whole point of this is to grow your portfolio. And by doing that, you're growing your equity and you're growing your cash flow on each property so that you can have that financial freedom that you're looking for. The second pro is that you're leveraging your capital, meaning that you only have to save up for that first down payment and then you can start recycling it in order to buy more and more properties. It's such a hang up when you put all your money into a property and then you have to go back and start saving again for that $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 down payment, which may take years to do. Now, the next pro is exit strategies, which means that you have multiple exit strategies when this is all said and done. Yes, you can complete the BRRRR, or you can end up selling your property if you have that much equity in there and you would like to capture those gains. And on the other hand, if you do the 70% rule like I was talking about earlier in this video, then even if you mess up on the numbers, your renovation budget was way higher and your appraised value of the property, what you thought it was a lot lower, then you still should have a little bit of space to where you can sell the property, get out from under you. You may not have earned any money, but you learned a lot. Now let's go over a couple cons. Now the first one is the initial capital. Now money doesn't grow on trees, so you will have to start saving up for that initial down payment and maybe even the renovation costs as well. And even when you get to the point where you have the down payment and renovation, you may want to save up a little bit more so you have reserves in case something were to go wrong. The second con is the market risks. Now when doing the BRRRR strategy, it may take up to 6 to 12 months in order to complete the full BRRRR. Now there's many factors to this, but what we know is that especially in 2023, the market can change just like that. So if you purchase the property in a seller's market and by the time you are done with the BRRRR strategy, you are now in a buyer's market, the interest rates are high, and there's a lot of inventory on the market, well, you may be stuck in a hard situation. That's why running your numbers and being correct with them is huge. The next con is budgeting. Now there's no way to be 100% accurate when you're doing the rehab process. Surprises do come up, some things that you may not see, whether that be the foundation, the roof, or a CapEx item that you did not notice that you will have to pay for. It could eat into your equity and ultimately make you not have a successful BRRRR because of it. Now you could probably see why this strategy is so effective and if done correctly can explode your rental portfolio. By using the BRRRR strategy and recycling your initial investment, that helps a ton for investors in order to explode their growth and not have to look out for outside funding. To put that into context, let's say you spent 2 years saving up $50,000 in order to purchase a property, and you end up doing so. That's great, congratulations, but now you're stuck with no money and you have to start saving again. Now, if that's how you want to invest in real estate, there's no problem with that. I'm just saying with this strategy specifically, by utilizing the BRRRR strategy, if you end up putting that $50,000 into a BRRRR and at the end of it, you're able to get that $50,000 back, now you have a rental property and you can go purchase another one, increasing your equity and increasing your cash flow. I would love to know if any of you have completed a BRRRR and what the numbers look like on it. So please go down in the description below and let me know how that went. Also, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate all of you. Thank you and happy investing.